Alright, on to jump scares. And what would a horror game be without a few jump scares, right? Good thing is, jump scares are actually relatively easy. It all depends on what you want to happen in the jump scare. So this video is basically showing you how to trigger them, because every jump scare is different. We'll also add one more type of jump scare after we add AI. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to make kind of a doorway. Should I do it this way? Sure. Alright, so I'm going to quickly make a little doorway out of this map real quick. Alright, so I switched to unlit mode really quick, and I've just made this pretty bad wall with a doorway in it, and then another room behind it. In game, you can see, if I turn my flashlight on, it's big enough for us to fit through, and it is pretty creepy in here. So what we're going to do is essentially just add a trigger box, so when we walk into the doorway, an event is triggered where an AI will walk past the door and a jump scare noise will play. So pretty simple. So what we want to do is get a trigger box. So we can just search for it, box trigger. And this is the box that will activate the jump scare once we overlap it. So I'm just going to make it fit the entire doorway. That's good enough for me. And we just have to make sure you have the trigger box selected, and then go to blueprints, open level blueprint. And in the level blueprint, you can actually call a reference to whatever you have selected. So if I right click, you can see right here, create reference to trigger box. Let's go ahead and do that. And that'll work with pretty much anything you have selected in the world. Create reference to interaction outwards door. So what we're going to do is actually, we don't want just a reference, but we want to right click and we want to add event for trigger box 1, collision, add on actor begin overlap. So when our player overlaps this trigger box, this is called. And here we can do whatever we want for the jump scare. I'm going to be using a jump scare noise I found online called Low Reverb Hit by Christopher Patel on storyblocks.com. I do not own this sound, I just found it online that was allowed for use. So I'm going to create a folder called sounds and import it real quick. So I just went ahead and imported it, or hit low reverb impact. And whatever sound you use, if it's not this one, if it doesn't work when it's imported, check if it's an MP3, and if it is, convert it to a WAV file first, WAV. You can do this in Audacity if you have Audacity, or find an online converter. So the jump scare sound just sounds something like this. And what I'm going to do is create a sound cue. So if you right click, you can hit create cue. I'm just going to call this jump scare cue. And in a cue, we're not going to do anything with it, but you can create all different kinds of audio effects. I'm going to turn the volume multiplier up to 1, or maybe 1.2, so it's just a bit louder. And I'm not going to go over what all these do, but it allows you to mess with your sound effects a little bit more. Another thing I want to point out before I go is I'm putting this to 1.2 because I've heard it and I know that's what sounds good, but it is important that you don't make your jump scare noise too loud. Blowing the audience's eardrums out will only make them more annoyed than immersed if you're really overplaying it, so just don't go too overboard with that. Alright, so let's go back to our level blueprint, and we can, on the trigger box, just play sound. And we have these options, play sound 2D and play sound at location. And if you play sound 2D, it'll just play it directly into your headphones. It's good for UI sounds, there's no attenuation. And if it's at a location, then it's actually in a spot in the world. And we don't need that, we can just have it play a 2D sound. And we're going to choose our jump scare cue. And you can also mess with the volume multiplier, pitch multiplier, etc. in here. And let's go ahead and just test to see if that works. And we can delete this because I don't think we'll be needing it. So when we overlap this trigger box, it's in the doorway, we should hear the jump scare noise. And we do. All right, so now we need something to happen, because it's a little disappointing if you just have a sound play and nothing else happen. So we need to import the UE4 mannequin, which comes with some of the UE4 templates, but we started on a blank slate, so it's not included with us, and we're just going to be using that mannequin for all the AI, since they already have some animations included, just to make it a little easier on ourselves. So we didn't import the mannequin with our project, so we have to create a new project and migrate the mannequin from that project to this project. You can do this with any project that you've already created with the mannequin if you want, but for our sakes, just for to keep it clean, I'll just make a new project for this. All right, and once that's all loaded in, we want this entire mannequin folder, because we have the character here, which includes the mesh, textures, and materials, and then we have the animations, which we also want. So if we go to Content, Mannequin, we can just right-click, and we want to hit Migrate, which moves the contents of this folder to a different game. And you can select specifically what you want. We're just going to go ahead and include all of it. And OK. And then you have to choose the correct location. So right now I'm in UE4 Projects Empty Third Person, which is the one we just created, content. So I'm going to go back to UE4 Projects. I'm going to find the one we're working on, Udemy Horror Game, and go to Content. And I just want to select this folder right here. Content migration completed successfully. All right, so now we're back in our project, and if you look right here, we now have this mannequin folder. Character, mesh, it's all there. Animations, it's all there. And that's exactly what we needed. So for our jump scare, I'm just gonna have the mannequin walking past as if it's some kind of enemy, and the jump scare is that the enemy is in the room. And I'm going to do this with an actor instead of making it some type of AI, because we'll be getting to that later. So I'm just going to make a new folder called Jumpscares, open it up, and blueprint class actor, and I'm going to call this BP doorway jump scare. So we need the mannequin in here, so I'm just going to add a skeletal mesh. Call it mannequin. For the skeleton mesh, choose SK mannequin. And for animation mode, instead of an animation blueprint, we're just going to use an asset. And animation to play will be walk. So it's just going to walk like this across the doorway. We also want to know where his endpoint is, so we're going to make an arrow. It's not going to be a child. We'll just call this endpoint. And let's just move it about 500 on the x-axis. And we're also going to rotate this mannequin 90 degrees, so negative 90 degrees, so it's facing the right direction. So it's just going to walk from the starting point to the arrow. So something really simple just to demonstrate how to trigger this jump scare. And how we're going to do that is in the event graph, we're going to turn off inherited variables real quick. We're going to create a boolean called jump scare, which will start off as false. So in the event tick, we're just going to ask if called jump scare is true, then we're just going to get the mannequin and set world location, and where we're setting it is going to be where the endpoint is, so we'll get world location, and if we were just plug that into there, then it would just automatically snap to that location, and we want it to happen over time, so we will do this with a vinterp to constant. And the constant is so that it doesn't ease in and ease out of the 2 points. It'll go at a constant rate. So the endpoint world location is the target value. The current value is, the mannequin's world location. So get world location. Delta time can come from delta seconds in the event tick. And then the interp speed is going to be 300. It's just a value that I found works well. But you can also promote this to a variable, call it speed, and make it editable so you can easily change it in the engine. So let's just go ahead and place this in the world. I'm going to make it unlit so we can see a bit better. Take this, I'm going to right by the doorway and rotate the whole actor 90 degrees. Our endpoint's right there. Definitely maybe a little too far, but we'll see how it looks. Actually, no, I'm going to move it just a bit closer for now. Something like 350. Okay, that's better. And we have to reopen the level blueprint. Make sure our actor is selected. And after playing the sound, we're just going to get a reference to the doorway jump scare actor. And we want to set that boolean to true. So set call jump scare to true. And then it will perform the movement. And then after 1 second, we're going to call a delay of 1 second. We want to destroy the trigger box right here so that we can't call the jump scare more than once. So select the trigger box. It turns out I was wrong. We do need this reference. And we'll just call destroy actor. Nope, wrong one. Destroy actor. There we go. And that's basically the gist of a jump scare. Let's go ahead and test it out. Oh. Let's move a bit farther back so we can't see him. And I'm going to go ahead and actually move this endpoint further out. I guess I was right in the long run. So let's make that back to 500. And let's try this one more time. So that worked, but we didn't get our sound that time. I'm not really sure why. Play sound 2D, jump scare, cue. Maybe I just turned my audio off. Right, so we actually did get the sound. My audio somehow got rerouted to a different speaker, so I didn't hear it through my headphones. Let's try it again. And I'm still not getting my audio. And there we have it. Honestly not exactly sure how that happened. But I'm just gonna get a wave player and select the sound again. Alright, well it works now. Save, select my jump scare cue just in case. Nope, still selected, and let's hit play again. Test this for the 3rd time. And it works. Alright, don't really know how that happened, but you know, bugs come along the way, so you just gotta find your way around them. So that's our jump scare. It's basically the gist of a jump scare. They're incredibly simple. And you can do many things with it, such as maybe spawning in the actor when we hit a trigger box, so he's not always standing right here. Maybe disabling your character movement so we're unable to walk past it. List goes on. You can just do anything you want after overlapping this trigger box. But before we end the episode, let's talk about using jump scares correctly. Many bad horror games litter their game with way too many jump scares. It just becomes a game of predictability and loses story elements. So keep your jump scares, I wouldn't say few and far between, but be wary that you're not going overboard. I personally think when this happens, the jump scares hit a lot harder because you're your player is not constantly waiting for when the jump scare is going to happen. Horror games work better when they build up the suspense a lot, rather than just blowing up in your face every time you turn a corner. Alright, that's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.